Hello, you lovely, lovely people. Just got back from seeing the wife, actually. I've had to come back here to see Jackie. And don't have to water the trees because there was a lot of rain yesterday. Anyway, this topic is about a guy called Douglas who messaged me a couple of weeks ago, actually. Or maybe just over a week. And Douglas is an Australian guy and he's 82 years old. And he's lived in the Philippines for over 26 years. But now he's back in Australia. So this topic is about what he said. And it was very interesting. Something I've never thought about before. And what it is Douglas is sick, okay? And he got to the point where he couldn't do his visa runs. He's always been on a tourist visa. And the reason he's been on a tourist visa is because, one, he never got married here to do a 13A because he is separated from his wife in Australia and he couldn't get married here. Now, he's had a few girlfriends here, even at that age. He's had a few girlfriends and it hasn't worked out. And he's recently, now he's in a wheelchair. Okay? And he didn't have the money because he's just on a basic pension from Australia, and he said it wasn't a full pension. So I don't know how much it was, but the figure is irrelevant because he said he couldn't afford the SRRV, and because he's never been in the military and he couldn't take advantage of the cheap fees for the SRRV, and he never had the capital to get the retirement visa without him having served in the military. So his predicament is he was on a tourist visa. He's had a couple of girlfriends here, and he come to the point where he had to do his visa run. And this particular time, he was very, very sick, and he was wheelchair bound, and he wasn't with anybody. The partner that he was with had left him, and he was stuck on his own in Cebu. That's where he was living. He was living in Cebu City, actually. And like I said, he wasn't with anybody, and he had to do his visa run, and he was very sick, and he missed his visa run, right? But what he did, he went to the doctors here in Cebu, and he got like a letter from the doctor, so he could actually get that to the immigration to say that he was basically unfit to travel. And because he wasn't with anybody here, he didn't have a chaperone. Anyway, the Bureau of Immigration accepted that, so they give him a waiver where he could stay. I don't know how long he did to say, actually, but it wasn't indefinitely. Now, Douglas has got nothing back in Australia. He's got two sons who doesn't have a lot to do with him. He hasn't got a place to stay at the moment. He's staying with one of his sons who, like I said, they don't really see eye to eye, but because Douglas hasn't got anywhere else to go, his son's put him up. But he said it's not a very good environment to be in. And he wants to come back here because, as he said, his life is in the Philippines. But one thing, it's very difficult for him to get back. And I think he said the direct flight from Australia to here was about 7 hours. Right. Now, he said 7 hours for him is a very long time, with his condition. And, we were sending messages backwards and forwards. I mean, I don't know Douglas from Adam, but he was sending me these messages and he was asking me if I could put this out there. Okay. So that's what I'm doing. And he said, even if he could get back here, then in 3 years' time, how would he be able to do his visa run? Because he will get sicker. So basically, the story is, if you're here and you haven't got a 13A, and maybe you're not with a woman, and you've been here for a long time, So this is your home. The Philippines is your home, and you haven't got an SRRV, and you have to do these visa runs. Well, what happens when you become too sick here to be able to do it, which is what happened to Douglas. And I know you can do some short flights, I think Hong Kong, 3 hours or something like that. But if you're really sick, that, what we would think is just, you know, like a drop in the ocean. 3-hour flight there, stay there for a while, 24 hours I think it is, or whatever, and then come back. But what if you are unable to do that? What if you're unable to do that and you've got nothing left in your home country to go back to, no house, you might have no family at all. You might, you know, your friends have, especially when you get older, you know, maybe a lot of your friends have passed on. So what do you do? And this is his question to me. Now, I can't answer the question, but it's something I've never thought about, but it is food for thought. And he was saying that when he was with a woman here, I think he's had 2 or 3 relationships. That's what he said. I'm just relaying it to you. He's had 2 or 3 relationships here. One was a total nightmare. All what she wanted was his pension, which incidentally, he said, you know, was a very small pension. The second, it broke up because of his partner, his family. I think it was the sons and the daughters. And thirdly, he was on his own. Finally, now, and this is what he was saying. He couldn't get out to do the visa run. He couldn't do it because he was too sick. And he didn't have any chaperones to take him to the airport or even to go with him to Hong Kong or wherever that he used to do his visa runs, because he must have done quite a few of them to be here for that long. And he was saying now his life is just totally no good at all because he's living in a country that he left a long time ago. His life is here, not with a woman, but his life is here. But he can't get back, or he says he probably can get back, but then, you know, what's going to happen after 3 years? How will he be able to do that visa run? And I suppose it is something maybe to think about. I think if you're with a partner here, which many of us are, married or not, it doesn't matter, we can get those to actually help us or take those with us. You know, when you do that visa run every 3 years, many get married here. You know, like myself on a 13A, where we don't have to leave the country. You know, we can stay here indefinitely, providing that we still cohabitating and with our wives. Now, the SRRV is the way to go because you aren't reliant upon nobody for your visa. But if you haven't been in the military, like Douglas said, it's a lot of money to fork out, especially when you've only got a small pension. So how are you going to manage to, to get that together to be able to apply for the visa? Now, many of you might say, well, why didn't he think of this before? Well, he was young and he was younger and he was fit before. So he could do these visa runs, no problem at all. And he did. But, since he becomes sick, and like I said, now he's in a wheelchair. And he said the chances of him ever coming back to this life here that he's had for a lot of years is gone. And now he's back living with his son, who they were estranged. His family were estranged, and he doesn't get on very well with his son. And his son's only putting him up, he said, because he feels that he has to. So there is no niceties going on in that house. He's there begrudgingly, I think, by his son, and his other son doesn't speak to him at all. And I think, what a horrible situation to be in. But it can happen to any of us. It can happen to any of us. And I'm not saying get married just for the sake of getting married because you don't have to leave the country. I'm not saying that at all, not by any, that's not an excuse. It's really not. But what I am saying is, how do you prepare for something like that? How do you prepare? Because we don't know what's around the corner. And I know we can't think, what if? We can't keep thinking of that because some what ifs happen, but some don't. And I think if you lived your life on a what if, you'd never do anything. You'd never do anything. So it's just a sad situation for Douglas. And God knows how many other people could be in that situation. Like I said, it's something I've never thought about it until I got a message. And it was on my Facebook, actually. It was one of these messages where someone sent you a message and you don't know who they are. And I looked and I saw the first line before I accepted it. And he said, I'm a subscriber. So I read the message and I added him. And when he was telling me this story, I thought, do I make a video about it? And I said to him, would you mind if I was to put it out there? He said, no, please do. Please do. And, I can use his name and things like that. But what a sad situation to be in. Like a lot of us when we hear, like me, I don't ever think about those things happening. Now, I'm on a 13A, like I said, but you never know what's down the line, people. You just never know what's down the line. As well as everything is, you just don't know. And I know Filipinos, or Filipinos, they are very caring people, when you do get sick. But, when you hear you're sick, would they get sick of taking care of you? Now, before Douglas was in a wheelchair, he's got diabetes, high blood, and a few other things wrong. Now, the diabetes is the reason he can't walk now. Like I said, he's in a wheelchair. He never really took care of it, he said. He was supposed to eat the right foods and blah, blah, blah. And he said he never really did. So a lot of you might say, well, he brought it upon himself. That's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is how many other people are in that situation. And not necessarily here, but I mean anywhere. It could be Thailand, Cambodia. It could be anywhere in the world where you've decided to, to up sticks and, decided to live in it, like in a foreign country for a long time. And your life is in that country. And when the time comes, because you haven't got the visa which allows you to stay here indefinitely, without having to leave to do a visa run, when that time does come and you are unable to do it, what happens? Well, like I said, he did get a waiver from immigration, like I said earlier, but he had to have the letters from the doctor to, to confirm that he was maybe incapacitated, to get out the country. But he said it wasn't indefinite. And I don't know how long that waiver lasted for, but in the end, he had to get out the country. He had to, and he went back home. And now he said he's unable to come back because he's scared. And also, being on your own here, if you haven't got anyone, a partner or a wife to actually take care of you in that manner, then what would be the point in coming back here? Which is what I said to him. And he said because coming back to the Philippines, which he calls his home, he'd rather die here than die somewhere where he's not wanted, back home in his son's apartment. It's just a terrible feeling, isn't it? A terrible way to think. Now, many of us are still fit, up until a certain age, but anything can happen. And that's why it's imperative to do our utmost, to keep our fitness for as long as we can. Back in your own country, there is places that can deal with that. And I know it's a horrible thing, and my grandmother was put in one, but, we have things in the UK called residential care homes. Not nice places, I don't suppose, but my grandma was in one, and when she went in one, she hated it, but then she really liked it because she had a social life again with people her own age, and they used to play bingo and whatever they did. And there was someone who come around and played the piano, on a weekly basis, just to entertain them. But here, there is nothing like that. And I know there is a number of foreigners who are found in their apartments where they have died here. And I don't really talk about that kind of thing, but it's just something that Douglas was talking to me about, and it kind of made me think, well, bloody hell, yeah. What would you do? Where can you go? That's it, people. I'm just telling Douglas's story, really. And yeah, anyway, I've got to come and feed the dog, which I've already done that. Don't need to water the plants. So now I'm going to get some more clothes for my little boy. Not the baby, because he's not here yet, but for Kaylin. My wife said that she wants me to bring her a couple of pillows. And I'm getting back to where she is. So, like I said, people, I will keep you informed when little Zach comes along and pops out. And when I know, you will know. Thank you, people. Listen, take good care. And yeah, just take good care of your health as best as you possibly can. Bye-bye, people. Over and out.